the game is clear. He's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m. And that means once again, it is time for Turnbuckle Affiliation Program and the Locker Room Breakdown. It is time for your Rasslin recap. We look back at the week that was on Raw and SmackDown in the WWE and a look at what is to come. I am OM Dynamic. Thank you all so much for joining me. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. We got a lot to cover, especially as it pertains to Monday Night Raw. We started off with Oba Femi, the winner of the King of the Ring tournament. And as I said, I didn't think that that was the right call. I felt that there was only one way they should be going for SummerSlam. And did they ever get it right? Oba Femi had come out to the ring to make his announcement, make his decision as to who he would challenge. Would it be your new WWE champion, Sami Zayn? Would it be the World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns? But before he could make his proclamation, he was interrupted by a returning Brock Lesnar. This was where I felt they should have gone in the first place. And I know there are people out there saying, well, why don't they have him do the title one night and do Brock the next? Because this story needs its finality. You can't have the focus on both. This needs its finality before we can go to Oba and a title reign. So I, right off the bat, absolutely loved this. And Brock Lesnar came out saying, I don't watch the product. I don't follow the product. Everybody knows that. And I'm not that good on the mic. That's why I have Mr. Heyman here. But you like to call me names when I'm not here and behind my back. You've called me a coward. You've called me a bitch. And then drop the talk shit, get hit. Well, he then proceeds to low blow Oba Femi and drop him with an F5. And as he is leaving the ring, Oba again, and this is one of the things that I'm not a big fan of with Oba, is the whole semi-selling, let's say. He gets the mic again, and he says, Brock, you say I call you names behind your back. Well, I'm here in front of you, and you're still a bitch. So, at SummerSlam, Oba Femi, Brock Lesnar. Okay. Paul Heyman hands Brock the microphone, and Brock says, you're on, Oba, I accept. But I'm going to one-up you. Hell in a cell. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes, 1,000 times yes. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love it. I know that this is not going to be the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time, but this is going to be carnage inside the cell. Do not be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if this opens either night of SummerSlam, or I would even go so far as to put this as the main event of night one, because I think that with the chaos and everything that is going to happen inside that cell, I wouldn't be surprised to see the cell come apart. I wouldn't be surprised to see the ring collapse. And I absolutely love this idea. These two guys are going to tear each other apart. The crowd told us everything. And the fact that Brock Lesnar as the heel is the one upping the stakes. Is there something more for this at SummerSlam for Brock? We've heard the potential that he is going to retire this year at SummerSlam. We saw him tease it at WrestleMania before returning for Clash in Italy. Does this match allow Brock Lesnar, if he loses, to go out in his home state and on his own terms? I think so. But I am just looking so forward to the chaos. We come back, and Adam Pearce is with Obafemi in the back saying, "Are you sure?" Oba said to him, "Look, the titles are still going to be here. The titles are still going to be there. This has to end. This has to be it. So yes, I'm sure." Absolutely love it for Oba, because I didn't want him hot-shotted right into the title picture. And I know we've seen Oba, who started number one in the Royal Rumble, got his match at WrestleMania with Brock, got his rematch at Clash in Italy with Brock. Now you're going to this level, and I absolutely love it. We also saw Austin Theory of the Vision catch up with Paul Heyman and say to Paul, "I didn't know you were here. You didn't call us. You didn't text us. Nobody knew you were here. Nobody knew you were coming." And Paul Heyman said, "Well, now you know I'm here." What does this mean for Paul Heyman? What does this mean for the Vision? I'm going to say this, and I have to wonder if it's going to be better for the Vision in this situation to look forward instead of waiting for Paul Heyman when he's done these obligations with Brock Lesnar to come back. Does Paul Heyman come back and say, "Okay, guys, I'm back. I know I haven't been around. My focus has been elsewhere." And the Vision say, "Look, you haven't been around. You've abandoned us. We've moved on." And is that how you find something new for Paul Heyman? Is that a new direction for the Vision? Or do you just have them welcome him back to say, and Paul Heyman say, "You guys have had a run of horrible luck of late. Let's get this ship righted"? Very, very intriguing with all of that, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a long way to go. I mean, we are less than a month out from SummerSlam. Now, a match that should have some Intercontinental Championship implications. We had Rey Mysterio battle All Ego Ethan Page. For me, this was a match that was just not necessary. It was not needed, not called for. we know that Penta, as the Intercontinental Champion, has had this thing going, and he has been a fighting champion. I'm going to give him that. But it's been around Ethan Page and Rusev, and even Rusev has fallen off, and now Ethan Page seems to have taken up the mantle that Chad Gable once had of trying to battle all of the luchadors. Ethan Page is a guy that I felt when he got that title shot probably should have won it then, because he's been in and around, but battling all of Penta's allies. And he's had limited success. He's great on the mic. He is fantastic in the ring. But when it comes to the W's and the L's, meh, it's 50-50. It's a toss-up. This was a fantastic match. Ethan Page doing what a dominant heel should do, controlling the match, controlling the back of Rey Mysterio. In the end, it was Rey picking up the victory, but Ethan Page needs it more. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say that Ethan Page needs to start collecting some W's. I think we are headed to another multi-man match at SummerSlam for that Intercontinental Championship, but this might be the last hurrah for Ethan Page and the Intercontinental Championship. If he doesn't get it done here, there's not a lot left until we can get a new champion. I would actually rather see Ethan Page make that shift now to SmackDown and do like Kevin Owens did a number of years ago when he won the U.S. Championship and became the new face of America. It would be absolutely brilliant. We saw Ethan Page put a Canadian strap on the North American title in NXT. Why not do it here? Why not do a mix of both and, have a Canadian win the U.S. strap, but like Lance Storm did all those years ago in WCW, call it the Canadian Championship and call himself the new face of America. I absolutely love this idea. Backstage, we get Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough sneaking into Danhausen's lab because they want their human monies back. And after him cursing Liv Morgan at Night of Champions, which caused her to lose the Queen of the Ring, the Judgment Day are fed up. However, all they did, they stole Danhausen's jersey that he received from the New York Knicks, which after everything that went on around that surrounding Danhausen, lifting the curse on them winning 13 games in a row en route to the championship, loved the idea. I just wish it would have been a little bit more to it, but we'll get back to that a little bit later on in the show. After we saw Joe Hendry return in the UK, in London at the O2, we saw Joe Hendry make his return to Monday Night Raw in a celebratory concert alongside the Street Profits. Austin Theory, the only member of the Vision who was at Raw, took exception and made his way out to the ring and issued a challenge. The segment was not spectacular, but for Joe Hendry to have the two other baby faces alongside him in the ring, I liked that ad. Instead of him just being interrupted constantly by the heels and yelled down, I like this ad of having his backup in the ring already. The Street Profits even joined in on the song, so you can't fault them for that. Which, of course, led to Joe Hendry and Austin Theory, because it was Joe Hendry's involvement in the World Tag Team Championship match that cost Austin Theory and Braun Breaker the Tag Team Championships. So, good match. Told the story it needed to. But again, I think the bigger picture is, where do we go with the vision from here? Because we saw that abrupt dismissal by Paul Heyman to Austin Theory earlier in the night. So, of course, we didn't have Paul Heyman. Braun Breaker wasn't at ringside for Austin Theory. There was no Logan Paul. So Theory was essentially on an island by himself. Now, to their credit, I will say this: Street Profits left the ringside area, and this was a one-on-one match. And Joe Hendry even debuted a new finisher instead of using the standing ovation chokeslam, which I absolutely love. Again, we go backstage and we see Adam Pearce talking with Raquel Rodriguez, who wants an Intercontinental Championship match. Adam Pearce tells her, you know what? There are other people in line waiting, and they want a shot as well. And he mentioned Maxine Dupree's name. And again, making the match between Maxine and Raquel as a number one contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship later in the night. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have not had Maxine in the ring in quite some time, and this is something that we needed. What would that result be? However, first we go to Liv Morgan coming out to cut a promo on her SummerSlam opponent, Io Sky. Oh, sorry. Io Sky came out to address Liv Morgan first after laying down the challenge at Night of Champions to say, I'll see you at SummerSlam. This was not a match I wanted to see. But again, I think that this is the Judgment Day's previous rivalries, again, going on too long because there is nobody else for them to fight. So these things just get dragged on and on and on. But Liv interrupted, and Liv is perhaps the best in the women's locker room on the mic. Hands down. Liv reminded us all what's happened to the people that have crossed her and the Judgment Day sighting. Finn Balor, Stephanie Vicaire, and of course, Io's best friend, Rhea Ripley. Raquel and Roxanne then surrounded the ring leaving EO nowhere to run. Time-honored tradition, ladies and gentlemen. This is something we have seen countless times before. Something we're going to see countless times in the future. And this did live up to billing as the three women from the Judgment Day proceeded to beat down Io Sky, who had no allies and nobody who was able to come and save her. But I'm going to ask, do we go back to this tag team match at Saturday night's main event in just a couple of weeks? Are we going to see the team of Riho reunite, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, to take on any two members of the Judgment Day? Or is this where we really start to see things implode on the other side? Liv using that new half crab that she used to advance to the Night of Champions and Queen of the Ring finals. She applied it here again to Io, and I absolutely love this. This is a new wrinkle and a new variation in Liv Morgan's arsenal. This is absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, again, another match that did not need to happen truly. We saw it the week before. LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Solo Sikoa interferes, giving LA Knight the victory. LA Knight confronting Solo on SmackDown just a few nights prior, saying, no, we're not doing it this way. And what I had heard was we were getting Jey Uso versus LA Knight. No, we got LA Knight giving the match back up to Jimmy. And again, the situation played out a little bit differently. Jimmy got the win. Solo showed up, spiked his brother again. And Jay came out, made the rescue, despite the fact that LA Knight was not there trying to team with Solo. And LA Knight staring Solo down again. I do have a feeling that this is where we're going to go for Saturday night's main event with that tag match. I don't necessarily like it, but I do think that that is where we go, folks. This, again, was a match we just didn't need to see, and I don't know if we're going to see it tomorrow night, if we're going to get Jey Uso versus LA Knight, or what we're going to get. Will Solo make his presence felt tomorrow night? Again, ladies and gentlemen, we just don't know. You will have to tune into Monday Night Raw and the Raw Patrol to get all of those answers. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more to cover from Monday Night Raw. But first, we need your help.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And if you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us behind the scenes, turnbucklestudios.org is the place to be. Hit that join button. Send us your credentials via email. Tell us how you feel you can help us, how you believe we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. So, to the first piece of business that didn't involve Monday Night Raw. As a result of what happened after Night of Champions and a confrontation backstage between Gunther and Nick Aldis, SmackDown's GM, with Gunther putting his hands on Aldis, Aldis trying to calm it down, saying, "You get one." Michael Cole and Corey Graves announced that due to that, Gunther had been sent home and suspended. Nick Aldis was put on administrative leave, leaving Adam Pearce in charge of both shows. What would that mean for SmackDown? What does that mean as far as things are going forward? We will have to find out. They did show this confrontation as well. And then after what we had just seen in the ring with LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos, they came face to face with Jacob Fatu, who seems to be Roman's new right-hand man, and the only guy who's going to do, the only one he's going to listen to is Roman. Jacob saying, "I'm going to SmackDown. I'm going to face Solo Sikoa and call him out." Jay said, "Well, then we going together because Sami Zayn is the champion and he doesn't have an opponent for SummerSlam." I said it a little while ago, folks. We need more Maxine. Up next, we got our Women's Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders match with Maxine Dupree and Raquel Rodriguez. This was a solid match. Again, Raquel dominating early, using her power, using her size. Maxine, though, able to use her agility, her flexibility to be able to fight back. However, Raquel caught her, hit her with the Tejana bomb, stacked her up and pinned her. 1, 2, 3. I know that most of us went in there fully expecting this result. I know I was holding out just that little bit of hope because I do feel that Maxine got robbed and needed a better Women's Intercontinental Championship run than she had previously. But what she showed in this match, again, a little bit more. She's starting to get the reps now on main event. And maybe she's going to get back up there and back into that before the year is out. Then we got a vignette from Lyra Valkyria, who really did not look like herself. And this is the new look, the new attitude. Saying, I snapped just once. All of a sudden, I am the bad guy when Bayley and I have been losing for the better part of a year. We haven't been able to get the women's tag team titles. And it takes 2 to win a match. It takes 2 to lose a tag team match. I did what I did, and I'm not losing any sleep over it, yet I'm the one getting booed. I wanted, at my own personal expense, I wanted to take Bailey to the top with me, and it just didn't happen. At my own expense. Let's not forget, I was the first ever women's intercontinental champion. I loved it. This darker, perhaps more aggressive side of Lyra Valkyria. This is something that we have clamored for. Now, as I said, this was only a video package, folks, so take it how you will. But I cannot wait to see this new Lyra in the ring. And hopefully we're going to get that sooner than later. I don't need a video package rebuttal from Bailey. I need Bailey going out to the ring, calling out Lyra, and maybe we get the physicality started there so you can build to this match at Saturday night's main event. Or you put it as a grudge match at SummerSlam. Because these two women deserve to be on the SummerSlam card, but I don't think they're going to get there because they've stood in each other's way for the better part of the last year. Prior to the Raquel-Maxine match, we did see Maxine in the back, and she came face-to-face with Chad Gable. She tried to apologize for how she said what she said. She meant what she said, but she tried to apologize for how it came across. And Chad said, no, you don't need to apologize, Max. We're good. We then go to Chad Gable versus JD McDonough. This came about as a result the previous week of Dominic Mysterio demanding an apology from Chad Gable on this apology arc, this redemption story, because Dom is the king of the luchadors. And this was right after JD had been electrocuted. And Dom said, no, I don't just give out matches to people. You've got to go through JD first. So that's how this match came about. And in a match that was absolutely fantastic, we did have Chad Gable come out on top. But we'd also seen Danhausen return to his lab to find his stuff, and Liv Morgan rubbing it in his face that this is what Danhausen got. But this match was very, very competitive. Both men can fly. Both men can wrestle. This was that catch as catch can type of match that I look forward to each and every week. JD was able to counter Chad Gable's Chaos Theory rolling suplex, but Chad was able to hit the ankle lock and pick up the victory. This was fantastic. Oh, and Dominic Mysterio was wearing Danhausen's New York Knicks jersey at ringside. Again, backstage, we saw Austin Theory, this time in his confrontation with Maxine Dupree, and asking her what's going on there. Maxine said it was complicated. And Theory said, well, maybe this isn't working. So amidst all the speculation that we have had of, is Maxine going to join Austin Theory? Is Maxine going to join the Vision? That seems to have gone out the window. But I have to wonder. Chad Gable sees that. Does he now go and call out Theory only to have Maxine turn on him and set it up that way? Ladies and gentlemen, a lot to consider. A lot can happen. And ladies and gentlemen, I am here for it. Again, you stay tuned for Monday Night Raw and the Raw Patrol tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Lastly, on Monday Night Raw, we heard from Roman Reigns, our tribal chief. Or did we? Because he got his acknowledge me out. And then we were interrupted by Seth Rollins coming out saying, you know, it has been a long time, brother. And Seth said, you know, when we came in, we were the young guys that generation was looking to pass the torch to. Now we're getting a little bit long in the tooth, and we're the generation looking to pass it to the next guys. But the only thing you don't have is a true, clean win over me. And Seth Rollins laid the challenge out for SummerSlam, which this was not a fiery promo. This was not a yell back and forth. This was that promo where they both got into each other's heads, and it did. And Roman did say, "Yeah, I need to beat you," accepting the title match. And at SummerSlam, we closed the book. We closed the door on the Shield. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you build a match. You know, I had wondered a while back if you could go to, because I thought we were going to go to Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker again at SummerSlam, but I think that is potentially in the past. But I do have to wonder if Bronson Reed potentially cost Seth this match at SummerSlam. I had suggested, do we go to a Seth Rollins teaming with Obafemi to take on Braun Breaker and Brock Lesnar at a Saturday night's main event? I think that is clearly out the window. But could you have Seth Rollins potentially team with somebody else to take on Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu? Do you go to Seth Rollins and somebody taking on the Usos on behalf of Roman Reigns at Saturday night's main event? Again, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of moving parts. Just like, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of moving parts here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And we want you to be a part of all of it by checking out all of our programming.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap Delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and there is something for you each and every night of the week, as you just saw. We want you to meet the team behind those shows. Myself, Chris Best, Bubba Duke, Logan Thompson, Chris Parrish, and Carl Carafel. Under the host section, click on each of our individual links to get our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. Before we preview what is to come this week on SmackDown and on Raw, we're going to cover SmackDown because, as we found out, Adam Pearce was now going to be in charge of both shows, and what happened on SmackDown will actually affect what happens tomorrow night on Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, we started off with our new undisputed champion, Sami Zayn, who came out really doing the whole Rocky rah-rah speech. I did it, Adrian. I finally did it. You know what? Sami said I could get petty, but I'm not going to because I'm a good guy. He was interrupted by Cody Rhodes, who seems to be showing a little more arrogance and attitude of late. Saying, you know what, Sami, you were right. When I beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, you were the first guy in the ring to congratulate me on finishing my story. So let me be the first guy in this ring to congratulate you. Sami telling him, get to the point. Tell me why you're really here. What's this all about? Because I know why you're here. You know why you're here. They know why you're here. But you got to tell us. However, at that point, we got interrupted by Jey Uso, who had said, I'm going to SmackDown because Sami is the champion. We got their celebratory handshake and hug. Jey said to Sami, you know why I'm here. I got to bring that belt back to the family. Sami gave him the credit and said, you know what, as far as I'm concerned, the belt is in the family. And Sami is not wrong. He was a member of the bloodline. Despite being the honorary Uso, he was a member of the bloodline. He has always been there. He has always had the Usos' backs. Adam Pearce came out. Yes, we know that Adam Pearce was running SmackDown since Aldis was on administrative leave. Cody had even said to Jay, we are here to talk about my rematch. And Sammy said, what are we going to do? Like, don't I get some say as to who my opponent is for SummerSlam? And Adam Pearce said, who said anything about SummerSlam? Tonight, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are going to go one-on-one. The winner will face you, Sammy, on Monday night. We'll have a contender and we'll have that championship match on the flagship. This was not needed. We didn't get the Gunther interruption honoring the suspension, which I was actually surprised about. Did we need this? Because with everything happening, I think it's only going to set up a lot more confusion and a lot more chaos for SummerSlam. But we will find out what happens. We know that our main event would be Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes. This was also SmackDown's return to a 2-hour format instead of the 3 that we have been used to. So, on then to a very, very interesting 6-woman tag. We had Jade Cargill and her baddies, B-Fab and Michin, taking on the team of Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, and Charlotte Flair. Things got really, really intriguing for the baby faces right off the bat, because before they even came out, Tiffany Stratton got into Charlotte's face saying, I didn't need you, but I appreciate it and thank you. We then saw Alexa Bliss come in and get into Charlotte's face saying, you could have told me you were going to be at Night of Champions. You could have given me a heads up. Charlotte trying to calm her down, saying, it wasn't done to tick you off. But still, you could have given me a heads up. And then Charlotte said, well, you could have given me a heads up last week when I was sitting at home with my knee elevated with my mom and her dog watching you team with Tiffany. And we went out for this 6-woman tag with Charlotte sort of being caught in the middle. We know that Chelsea Green and Tiffany have been building some sort of allegiance, but is this more of a strategic alliance on Chelsea's part to get to that U.S. championship? This was a good, solid match. However, again, we're going to that cohesion from the heels versus the confusion of the baby faces. Nothing urgent, really nothing noticeable in this match. Jade Cargill did pick up the win by hitting Jaded and pinning Chelsea Green. And poor Chelsea, because she deserves so much more and so much better than what she has gotten. I would honestly like to see something with Chelsea Green and Kiana James. That would be a pairing or a matchup of absolute brilliance given the right circumstances. BFAB has come such a long way in such a short time. They rushed her original call up with Hit Row before releasing Hit Row and then re-signing them and then releasing them. This is someone who needs to get in the reps. BFAB should be maybe even a little bit further ahead, but she and Maxine are really progressing nicely and should be factors in the women's division for years to come. We get our exposure to AAA, and once again, we get the AAA Cruiserweight Championship being defended by Ray Phoenix. Now, I love the idea of the AAA representation on the main roster. You have Dom as your AAA Mega Champion over on Raw. You've got Ray Phoenix, a true luchador, and the Cruiserweight Champion from AAA on SmackDown. But he's always been defending it against members of the main roster. We got a change up, ladies and gentlemen. El Hijo del Vikingo from AAA challenged Ray Phoenix on SmackDown. Is this a way to start incorporating Vikingo into the main roster, or was this a one-off? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But this was a hell of a match. And Vikingo came in holding the AAA Latin American Championship in his own right. So I think in this situation, we should have had a title versus title and really put the stakes up. But I also understand why they didn't. You don't want to have a AAA champion lose on the main WWE roster when the title means more in Mexico. Now, to lose it to a guy like Ray Phoenix, who does both AAA and SmackDown, I wouldn't have an issue with. Again, ladies and gentlemen, no shortage of action, no shortage of an aerial assault in this match. No real size advantage, and both men made this match what it truly should be, which was a lucha libre spectacle. Again, not my particular style, because I'm not a huge lucha guy, but I respect it. I appreciate what those guys bring. In the end, it was Ray Phoenix with the Mexican Muscle Buster who picked up the victory, and they did get the sign of respect after the match. But Ray Phoenix, who continues to defend that AAA Cruiserweight Championship, and I'm wondering if that is moving into the new spot of the US Open Challenge on SmackDown for that title. I would be okay if it is. Round and round and round we go. Can't get off this merry-go. Trick Williams comes out with his sitcom dad, Little Yachty, to cut a promo. And before they can get a word out, seems like a running theme this week. Somebody coming out to cut a promo, and before they can say anything, they're getting interrupted. And we get him, Carmelo Hayes, coming out saying, you know what? As far back as we go, and we've done this dance 1,000 times, we'll do it 1,000 more. This is something that should have been done a while ago. We got one match on the main roster, but this is something that needs to happen, and we need some finality from it. So, Mello made his plea, made his shot, but Trick allowed Yachty to speak for him instead of actually doing the mic work himself. Trick Williams, if you are supposed to be a babyface, get rid of your hype man, your manager, whatever you want to call him. The guy looks like a sitcom dad. Can't even go on the mic, really, as far as I'm concerned. And this was just not needed. Yachty did grant Mello a match for this coming Friday, non-title. And then at the end of the promo, Trick said, you know, Mello, this is getting old, and at this point, I know you like the back of my hand. And then turned and gave him a backhand, knocking Mello right on his keister. Trick, if you're supposed to be a babyface, be a babyface. Don't be this heel that everybody loves, because you're not an anti-hero. You're not a babyface. You're not a heel. You're in limbo, pal. Pull your head out of your you-know-where and figure out who Trick Williams is. Excuse me just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that interruption, ladies and gentlemen. We go backstage and we heard Julia talking and calling out Blake, saying it's Blake Monroe, saying it's been a long, long time. And when Blake is ready to have the match, I will see her again. She was interrupted by Kiana James, who came in, said something. Blake again attacked Julia from behind. And then as Kiana said something, Blake threw her into the crates backstage, leaving her and Julia in a crumpled mess on the floor. It has been too long. We waited for so long for Blake Monroe to come to the main roster. And this is what we're getting? Backstage? We had her attack Julia after Night of Champions, or after SmackDown in London last week. I apologize. And this is what we get? Ladies and gentlemen, why are you really fumbling the introductions of these new superstars to the main roster? In a match with women's tag team championship implications, we had seen what happened after the tag team championship match on Monday, or the previous week. Now we got Lainey Reed going one-on-one with Brie Bella. The previous Friday, we had Paige take on JC Jane and pick up the victory. And I thought that WWE they did Paige justice by having her win both matches in her hometown and her home country. But they could have had Paige lose the one-on-one match the Friday before. So this was WWE's way to rectify the situation. As Lainey Reed, the youngest member of Fatal Influence, and really, really coming into her own, went one-on-one with Brie Bella. However, it was the numbers game again, as Fatal Influence, JC Jane and Fallon Henley put down Paige at ringside, leading to the distraction, allowing Lainey Reed to pick up that victory one-on-one. I'm good with this. Like I said, I think this righted that direction, gets Fatal Influence right back into that tag team title contention. But we do need to get JC Jane, or one of the three members, into a singles picture, whether it's Fallon Henley, whether it's Lainey Reed, or whether it's JC Jane. I would be okay with Fatal Influence as the women's tag champs if they allowed for the Freebird rule. This was also Brie Bella's first singles match on SmackDown in nearly 10 years. She's been back for 8 months, ladies and gentlemen. You put the tag belts on her at WrestleMania. Yes, she's wrestled in a tag match and defended the tag belts on SmackDown. But why are we not giving her the singles matches? The next bit of comedic influence comes from R-Truth coming face to face with the War Raiders to set up their title versus title. The War Raiders are your AAA tag team champions, while Damian Priest and R-Truth hold your WWE tag team championships. Well, we were getting ready for the 4th of July. This episode was shown on Friday, July 3rd. This had everything to do with the 4th of July and R-Truth delivering the line when Ivar grabbed a hot dog and Truth saying, he just ate your wiener. Well, yes, I was rolling. Yes, it's a little bit of toilet humor. But they both teams did agree to a title versus title match at some point in the future. Is it going to happen in AAA? Is it going to happen at Saturday night's main event? Or does it happen at SummerSlam? Personally, we've already carried it on this long. I'd like to see this match happen sooner than later, but now I'm also leaning towards a title versus title. What bigger stage than SummerSlam to go and get a title versus title match? Ladies and gentlemen, we come to our main event of the evening. Our former undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, challenging main event Jey Uso for the number one contender spot to Sami Zayn. The winner to face Sami tomorrow night. When we get to the preview, we're going to explain why this is such a significant matchup. This was, again, a straight up solid match. Both guys with a love and a respect for one another. Yes, the match got progressively more aggressive, but it was that respect. They weren't rushing out trying to get one up. It was natural. In the end, it was Cody who came out victorious and will challenge Sami Zayn tomorrow night. We thought Roman could address Jey Uso last Monday on Raw. Of course, we know that didn't happen. We thought he could address Sami Zayn. Of course, that didn't happen. What is Roman going to say tomorrow with both Sami and Cody and Jey in the building? I don't know. We'll break all of that down here in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, we do ask you to please check out our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And we ask that you check out our shop, completely powered by redbubble.com. So it is 100% safe and secure. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear, and all of the proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. As well, when you make that purchase, give us a shout out, tag us on the socials, and we will shout you out live on air during one or more of our many weekly programs. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. So, tomorrow night, we already know we're getting Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes in a title defense for Sami Zayn. But Monday Night Raw comes to us from the All-State Arena in Chicago, Illinois. We all know what that means. We all know who's from Chicago and will likely make his return to Monday Night Raw. We will also have, do we get Cody regaining the title? I said a week ago that for this to be a credible run for Sammy, he has to have some time with it. Not a week. Otherwise, he just becomes a footnote in the championship's history. Where do we go with all of this now? Is Roman going to address Sammy? Is Roman going to address Jay? We know that Roman will likely address Seth. But this is Chicago. And there's another guy from Chicago that has history with Roman, going back to each of the last 2 WrestleManias. A guy that has history with Seth freaking Rollins. Of course, I am talking about CM Punk. Do we hear from Punk tomorrow on Raw? Does he lay down a challenge to whoever wins between Cody and Sammy? Does he get involved in Roman and Seth? Does he stick his nose into Jimmy Uso's business with LA Knight and Solo Sikoa? It's Chicago. It's time to hear from a certain chick magnet that we haven't heard from since the Monday following his loss of the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Where do we go? Ladies and gentlemen, I can only speculate that CM Punk is going to be there, but it's Chicago, and we know that the roof will come off the place. As well, World Tag Team Championship rematch. The Street Profits will defend the Tag Team Championships against the Vision, Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker. So, do we get the return here of Bronson Reed? Does he cost the Street Profits the Tag Team Championships? Could he potentially come out and play a factor for Solo Sikoa and LA Knight? We know he's listed as part of the Vision, but things can change. Do we go to that big one before SummerSlam, or do we get that at SummerSlam? What is going to happen with the Vision and Paul Heyman? Are we going to hear from Obafemi? Do we hear from Brock Lesnar? So much, ladies and gentlemen, to stay tuned for. We don't know. This is all they are giving us. We know Danhausen will be involved. So, this is going to be a very, very interesting Monday Night Raw. I, for one, cannot wait to see how this breaks down and what happens. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to stay tuned for the Raw Patrol here tomorrow night. And we will see just what happens. You can join Chris Best and everybody else for the Raw Patrol. I will not be there. I will be enjoying some time with my son. So I don't know what's going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, before I continue on with the SmackDown preview, I do want to remind you once again that we need your help.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap Delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen, something for you each and every night of the week under shows. All of our information and the way to get in touch with us under the host section, as well as watching our latest weekly live episodic shows, including this program here tonight. All the info for how you can help us is there by clicking the join button, and of course, our shop, where we encourage you to support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown this week will also be very, very intriguing. Again, they've only given us a couple of matches. We are getting Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes in a non-title match. If Melo wins, I'm sure that is going to lead to a U.S. Championship match. But I don't like this idea, and I don't like little Yachty at ringside in the corner of Trick. Trick needs to figure out who he is as a wrestler on the main roster. And then we're also going to get a match many, many, many years in the making, and two guys with a lot of history, as Tama Tonga will challenge Finn Balor, who is making his SmackDown debut. Now, we missed this part in the SmackDown review. Finn had said something to Tama about long time, and they talked. Tama had mentioned, Shinsuke's been hollering at us too. And this was Tama saying, you know what? I spoke with the elders, and they gave me some guidance. And Finn says, what does that have to do with me? And Tama Tonga snuck up and behind him and attacked him. Tama saying, it's time for me to let go of my past, which is setting up this match. Ladies and gentlemen, what promises to be a very, very intriguing week in the world of pro wrestling, in the WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to it. We all look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in all of our chats and shows. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for me here tonight. So, without further ado, I would like to remind each and every one of you, the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck. I'm out.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey, teams can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his turn goes number 2. They're in the heat of the game,